Hello and thanks for joining us from our studios in Israel. I'm Aaron Porras, here with ILTV's morning briefing.
Two Palestinians from Gaza, one wielding a knife, have just tried to illegally jump the border into Israel. The army has taken immediate action to prevent the infiltration. One of the GAZANS has been neutralized with gunfire, and the other has been arrested for further questioning. The I.D.F. has confirmed a knife was found on one of the men after the arrests were made, evidence that the two were likely planning a terror attack in Israeli territory. The wounded Palestinian is now in an Israeli hospital being treated for his wounds. GAZANS, of course, make illegal border hops like this into Israel all the time. The army takes every precaution to ensure that potential terrorists do not breach Israeli soil, though sometimes the army discovers that many GAZANS are merely trying to escape the terrible conditions in the Gaza Strip. The army typically returns GAZANS who pose no security threat back to Gaza unharmed. According to the Prime Minister's office, Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu just shared a lengthy phone call with Russian President Vladimir Putin over the presence of the Iranian military on Israel's northern border with Syria. The conversation reportedly dealt with Netanyahu's concerns over Iran developing a permanent foothold in the region. Putin's alleged response is that their presence there was simply to fight terror, and that they will be allowed to remain under the terms of the recently brokered Syrian ceasefire deal. According to the deal, Iran will be allowed to post up just 3 to 4 miles, or 5 to 7 kilometers, from Israel. Defense Minister Avigdor Lieberman has already backed up the Prime Minister, saying last week, quote, "We simply will not allow Shiite and Iranian entrenchment in Syria, and we will not allow all of Syria to become a forward operating base against the state of Israel. Whoever doesn't understand that should understand that," end quote. The case of the missing Lebanese Prime Minister has now taken another series of dramatic twists. Just weeks after Saad Hariri's sudden resignation, amidst accusations that he was forced to do so by Saudi Arabia, Hariri has returned to Lebanon. But that's not all. After his arrival, he's just announced that he will not yet step down as Prime Minister after all. Hariri's return to Lebanon today has silenced many of the rumors that the Lebanese leader was, in fact, a Saudi prisoner. But this reversal is a shocking turn of events irregardless. During his now infamous resignation, he announced that Hezbollah and Iran had infiltrated Lebanon's government, and that he feared for his life. Hariri's own father, Rafik, a former Prime Minister of Lebanon himself, was actually assassinated by Hezbollah for speaking out against the terror group in 2005. That's probably why Hariri made this bombshell announcement while he was in Saudi Arabia, though Lebanon maintains that the reason was because the Saudis were holding him captive. Since then, tensions have been escalating right up to the brink of war between Lebanon and Saudi Arabia. But for Hariri to delay his resignation like this after meeting with Lebanon's president potentially throws everything into even more unpredictable chaos. Hoda Saleem, a young woman who has spent the last 6 years in a coma after being injured in a terror attack, has passed away this morning. When a backpack bomb exploded near a bus stop in Jerusalem in March 2011, it took the life of British woman Mary Jean Gardner with it and left Hoda and dozens more injured. 2 years later, and the terrorist was brought to justice, sentenced to life in prison for his part in the attack. But Saleem, who was just 14 at the time of the bombing, would never wake up. Now, the Hadassah Hospital in Kerem in Jerusalem has reported that Hoda has passed away, but at least not totally in vain. Speaking to the Times of Israel, Saleem's uncle, Rafi, said, quote, "Her fight for her life inspired people to do so much good over these past 6.5 years. It's impossible to describe," end quote. Now, her body has finally been taken back to her hometown of the Mevo Dotan settlement, where she was originally heading back in 2011. Starting in Israel just in time for the Ooh La La French Film Festival, French-Israeli filmmakers Olivier Nakache and Eric Toledano are now on their 12-country screening tour for their latest film, C'est la vie, or Les Scènes de la Fête. The film is a rom-com focused on a wedding planner who's putting a budget wedding together in a 17th century castle, and with a crazy staff as well, of course. Then there's the score, which is composed by Israeli trumpet player Avishai Cohen. Filmmaking duo Nakache and Toledano, who live in Paris but come to Israel fairly often, have been lifelong friends and have worked together many times, on films such as 2011's The Intouchables and 2014's Samba. The Ooh La La French Film Festival, which includes 18 select French films, 14 of which are comedies, airs in Tel Aviv, Jerusalem, Haifa, Sderot, Rosh Pina, and many other participating cinematheques across Israel. The festival ends December 5th.
That's all for now. I'm Aaron Porras, and see you later with our main daily broadcast from Israel at 2 p.m. Eastern Time.